Oh hey y'all, how's it going? Fatty here, and thanks for joining me on the channel with the very best YouTuber according to my 5-year-old son. And today I'm bringing you a much requested guide that is going to be the metal farming guide for Extinction, and let's not waste any of your time and just jump right into it. Now this guide was actually really requested on a previous video for my Crystal Isles metal farming guide, so I figured I'd just do another metal farming guide on Extinction since it was requested, and I just did one and it's doing fairly well, so I figured, hey, why not do that? Now on the previous one I was talking about, someone left this amazing comment that just spoke to me, and it was the resource guide on Extinction. I was like, wow, you know, that is so true. You don't need a video to look at it, you know, that's just, you know, you can look at that and it's just super clear and there's no verticality to a map. You just go to a spot and it's obviously the best, it's really easy to find, you know, just so simple. So I went to the Extinction one just to show you a great example of this, and you can see there is just a ton of BS that's just covering the screen, and you click on like, oh, let's just only look at the rich nodes, like let's really formulate a good plan for the rich nodes, and you click and it's everywhere, and you fly around to some of those spots where you're like, okay, let me count the little dots. This spot has the most little dots, so obviously this is gonna be the best spot, right? Like by far. And you go there and you don't even see any of these effing nodes, right? Like there's not any there. And then you click, okay, well maybe I'll just look at some of these like not rich ones, right? And you click that and then there's nothing there. And you're like, I just don't understand. Like this is just, the resource guide on this one is just kind of off. It's just really off. And then like at one point I was like, okay, well, where are river rocks? River rocks can sometimes be a good source of flint as well as metal, especially early game, or if you just have a ton of them. So I look and I know there's a really good spot for river rocks, and it shows there's like 3 dots, and I'm like, no, this is like the most insane. So just ignore the resource map. It can kind of give you an idea. Other maps, it does work really well, but still there's some maps, there's just like, there are spots that are way better than the map shows because you can only show them so many clusters in an area. So by far this one is gonna help you guys get going on Crystal Isles, get you going on Extinction in the very best spot in each one of the biomes. And let's just get started with the desert biome. So within the desert, I always like to start at this desert terminal. It just makes it easier. It's an easy spot to kind of reference and remember to go to. And this is going to be located at 70.8, 66.1. Now, the desert is definitely not one of the best ones. It's probably, in my opinion, like the second to worst one of the biomes to get it. But if you're in the desert and you just want the quickest, easiest metal, here you go. So from here, what you really need to do is just kind of look around, and you also need to be heading down towards the south a little bit from this area. But as you can see, all by these rocks, there's going to be just 1 or 2 nodes all over the place. You know, they're not going to be heavily condensed, so this is definitely going to be one that's better done with like 2 people. If you have someone on a Wyvern or an RG, carrying an Anki, and you can just kind of get to these spots a little bit quicker, it's going to be the best one. But for that, there's just probably only going to be, I would say, probably 15 to 20 nodes in this area. It's not great, but it's also not awful, right? Especially if you're early game. This is going to be the closest, most dense area of metal for the entire desert biome. So yeah. Like I said, it's not the greatest one, but we'll move into some better spots, moving on to Sanctuary. So when it comes to Sanctuary, there's definitely alternative ways to get metal, talking about lampposts, etc., the different kind of whatever city environment pieces that you can destroy. You get a bunch of other stuff for that, so that's always one method to get it. But if you're talking about purely nodes, the best location is going to be at 54.3, 42.7, and it's like the lower part of Sanctuary where there's this river that kind of runs through it. Now around this river there is just going to be kind of this one side of this ledge that's going to have a bunch of metal on it, and there's not going to be a ton of metal there, but there's going to be a decent amount. As well as when you see, it's more of like a lake, and then there's like a river at one end on the west side of it, and on that river you're going to see a couple more nodes on the left side of the river, as well as the kind of just leading up the river. And then when you kind of perch over that, you're going to see this other little area that's going to have some more metal as well, kind of tucked up underneath this like cityscape that's like buried a little bit. So this one, again, there's not a ton. This is going to be the most cluster dense, like the most dense cluster in Sanctuary, so you can fly around. Now there's definitely other metal nodes, but this is like the most that you can get in one single area. Sanctuary is always heavily contested, especially if you go further east, which I wouldn't recommend. There's a ton of base spots over there, so I want to go east past this little lake area. But yeah, west, like I said, there's definitely going to be some more spots over there, so definitely check that out. And then let's just keep moving on with this list. Now moving on to the Wasteland, which is by far my favorite spot. One, because it has the most amount of metal, and also because it's called the Wasteland and is located at 66.6, 18.0. I just love that it's located at 66.6 and also at like a very clean 18 after that too. So like I didn't even plan this. I wasn't looking for this number. I just kind of stopped on the spot and it was there and I was like, I love it. So I just rolled with it. So yeah, just enjoy that for whatever reason. Been watching too much Supernatural. Anyways, located all underneath this like metal building on the east side of it, there's going to be a ton of little metal nodes all around this. It's a really nice spot. Within the Wasteland, it's definitely a safer spot. There's also a terminal really close by, so if you're just trying to look, you know, you could upload it, transfer it, whatever you need to do to make it a little bit easier on yourself. But yeah, like I said, there's a few on there underneath the side, and then if you go on to the opposite side on the west side of it, there's going to be even a few more nodes that will make this one definitely worth the trip out here. There's some throughout the Wasteland, but again, this is what I found to be the most like densely clustered spot. And another really nice thing is this one also has a lot of obsidian near here, so if you need some of that, as well as along this like spine that separates you from like the sulfur fields, you're going to find a little bit of crystal and obsidian around there as well, which just makes the spot really nice. So if you're only going to travel out there with a gas bag and like, you know, an RG and like an Anki just to like farm up all this, you can really make this spot more worth your time if you're gonna actually come out to this spot, which is always what you want with these ones. Efficiency is king. Let's move on to the snow. So the snow is absolutely garbage for metal. I only found one little decent spot, and that's going to be located at 35.6, 74.2. Now outside of this little path I'm going to show you, there's going to be some right on the border of the kind of dome for the snow biome, as well as just some by like the metal structure, and then outside of what you can see this natural path. So if you follow this path, you're definitely going to see some on the left and right hand side, and then when you kind of get up to the top of the path, you're going to see like a rock in the middle, and it makes just like a loop-de-loop, and that's going to be kind of the end of the path, and there's going to be some along that path as well. Now other than that, they're very sporadic through the snow biome. There's not really a great way to come out here just to farm metal, so you know, even in this area there's a little bit of crystal, so you can get some of that, but other than that, there's not really a ton of resources in here. So on this list, this is probably the least recommended one on my list. It's just difficult, it's cold, you know, it's not a good time for anybody. Now this final one on my list is going to be the Sunken Forest, and in my opinion, it's kind of one of more of the tedious, but I think it's also one of the best ones that there is, so let's just move on to it. Moving into the last biome area, whatever, Sunken Forest, and this one's going to be located at 29.0, 12.8. Now I went all over the Sunken Forest, and I found like 3 metal nodes here, and then like a 3-minute flight away, like 2 more metal nodes here, and it was just garbage. I hate doing that. It's not fun. It gets boring. It's tedious if you're by yourself. It makes you more vulnerable because you're just like out there for a lot longer. So this spot is going to be a little bit more tedious, but in my opinion, it really is worth it because you get a lot of flint as well. And that's going to be this river rock area. Now, if you're willing to sit here and take a little bit of time, which you would have to do metal runs in this goddamn map anyways, because you have to go everywhere, is just sit here and just rack up these fucking river rocks, man. Just kill it here. There's so many areas, especially when you get right along where the river is, where there's not even any bushes or anything. So what you can really do is just hit everything, and even if you cap out with your weight, grab a whip and just kind of whip a little bit and just keep going. You won't gather anything with your whip, so your whip durability won't even go down, so you can do this for a long time. And if you fill up on weight, it's fine because you can just keep whipping it around, and there's nothing really dangerous in this area. As long as you stay away from the fairies, you'll be fine, and even those guys aren't that dangerous, so you'll be, I mean, it's easy. The only downside is, like I said, it's tedious. Now, it's kind of fun because you can go all this way up, and there's a lot, and it's really weird. I was going to start at the top of this hill because I think it's a little better than starting towards like where the bottom is, just because people can still like see you a little bit easier, and it's a little bit of a traverse spot once you just get down into the Sunken Forest. But when you do that, like, it shows you at like 0.00, and that just doesn't really help anything out because it's just like a big area. So I was like, okay, well, that just doesn't help out. So that's kind of just a little fun side fact. So that's why I gave you the locations here. But always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys want to support the channel, we have like different monetized ways where you can buy merch. You can support the channel through channel memberships as well as a Patreon, different things like that. So if you're interested, definitely check out those different supports. But if you guys haven't and you guys don't want to spend any money, which I totally understand, I don't like to spend any money either, don't forget to share these videos out with people. That helps the channel grow just a ton. You know, share it on Facebook, go to Reddit, wherever, share it in some Discord channels. Just text it to your friends, you know, text it to your mom and just like, hey mom, just watch this. And I bet she'll appreciate it. Especially I think I have a few mom jokes in the intro, so go find one of those and send it to her, because I bet they'll just put a smile on her face. Anyways guys, thank you so much. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.